We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
They're here.
Hi.
Hi.
You're listening to...
The SLAB.
I was going to say they're here.
Oh.
But you're listening to The SLAB. If you knew, of course, by the intro, then you would know that already. But
I mean, this
here
is
we are.
exactly how we started off. The other one was just being like, hi.
So, if you are familiar with the rundown, we have not done The SLAB in a very long time. Can I just say how long? Can we get a price check?
8 months.
8 months.
Are you serious?
Holy guacamole! I mean,
I know that's true, but that seems not correct.
Aww. So, we are doing a SLAB episode. Yeah.
Back at it.
We are probing, we're prodding, and we're
Postulating.
a topic of our decision this time.
My decision.
Yeah.
This is also kind of a trial run.
We want feedback.
Yes, I actually
Feedback.
I have a feeling that this could spin off and be its own separate a new playlist on the YouTube channel, let's say.
Ooh. What does that mean?
Because we have our movie reviews and we have the SLAB. I feel like this could be its own kind of separate entity. This could be a spin-off of a spin-off almost. Because I feel like this is another one where we're never going to run out of
Ideas.
like stuff to talk about. Exactly.
I like that idea. So
eat this over
today,
here.
I gotta start with this. Wait for it. There's more. It's just too good. So we're gonna do an occult topic, and it was my choice this week, and I chose something that is okay. So this is I'm about to go off on this bitch.
So I want to
Seriously.
see you go off.
Go off, mama. This is garbage.
Go what?
So garbage. So we're going to talk about, honestly, one of my favorite things. It's very close to me because I'm writing a book on it.
Butt sex without douching. Sorry.
That's literally just like a horn. So we are doing, well, I am presenting.
Promo
shall
your
we
book,
say.
bitch.
Okay, right. Okay. So it's called Psychopomp, right? And go follow it on
She's
Instagram.
like a pumped.
The cheeks, the lips, honey. Okay, right. So we are talking about demonology.
Ooh. Sorry.
Spooky. So listen, this topic is something that I sort of feel very strongly about. I gotta say, it's something that I have, as a total mythos nerd, I have like delved into.
We say this as our mic is balanced on a copy of Paradise Lost.
If that doesn't say, I mean, like literally over there is a copy of Dante's Inferno. There are demons
above,
on my paintings. Like, my God, my room is a literal hellmouth.
Yeah, for
Buffy,
real.
what you got for me?
Tell me what that hell mouth do.
Does she open wide?
Hey girl, you got a
Just-
pretty hell mouth.
Would you fuck this hellmouth?
Squeal like a pig.
I fuck this hellmouth. So, okay, so you're going to enjoy these sort of topic runs because...
Whether you like it or not.
Well, we're going to give it to you anyway. So demonology is the study of the obvious demons.
Books?
Hell. Lore based off of hell and its inhabitants. And the rites of witchcraft, summoning, bargains, deals, all of this subtext, right?
Season 3 of Sabrina.
Right. So I wanted to break it down into basically 4 main kind of arc points to kind of like branch off of.
Over here?
Yeah, absolutely. Break it down now. So my first thing was
Get your demon. Get your demon.
to kind of like break down, to understand how demons work and how hell works and all of that, you first have to talk about the angelic hierarchy. That's kind of the first anchor point that you have.
That's the chick from Rugrats, right?
Yes. Because it's the first kind of anchor that you would have in order to understand how the hierarchy of hell works.
Start from the beginning, a very good place to start.
Exactly. In the beginning there was nothing. And then God said, let there be light.
And then God said, go off, sis.
So then the other topic is the Ars Goetia, which is the book of how to summon, bargain a deal, and capture demons.
Yes.
My third title is obviously Hell / the Inferno. And then my last one is the Lesser Key of Solomon.
Yes.
Okay, go off. So, first of all, in order to understand demons and the like, the first thing you have to understand is the angelic hierarchy. And we are not just talking about simple white people in robes with white wings.
Yeah, this is not people with swan wings.
This is Be Not Afraid. This is Lovecraftian that we're talking about here.
How many eyes you got? So?
How many eyes you got?
How many
Have
wings
you got more than
got?
50?
Yeah.
If you got more than 50, you are part of the angelic hierarchy.
I'm here to tell you you're going to be having sex with God, okay?
And the angel of the... And mysteriously that bitch is pregnant.
Joseph, listen. Joseph, I know I'm your 14-year-old child bred, okay? And I haven't had the blood yet. But I'm pregnant, and it is God's. He hit her after that. You know damn well, bro. You fucking what?
I always think back to that meme of Mary and her best friend. It was like, I told them I was a virgin birth, and they just started laughing, and he just goes, and they believed it.
Oh, it's so fucking stupid.
Oh my god. Okay, right. So, seriousness. The first kind of thing I always go to is obviously when it comes to demonology, God creates the angels. The first angel is Lucifer. Lucifer, known as the Lightbringer, also known as the Morning Star,
Sexy bitch.
also known as Venus. What can I say? So basically, after God creates everything and the earth and blah blah blah, he finds out that God is making another race of things.
Yes.
Being us, the humans, the lesser sons of God, the favorite child, shall we say. And Lucifer goes up to God and says, "You're tacky and I hate you." And Lucifer was like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out."
I'm gonna go make some music, bro.
He's literally part of the choir of angels. And that's how this all starts. So once God decides to bump out Lilith out of the marriage bed.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. Bump out Lilith out of the marriage bed, and Adam gets Eve as his subservient wife. Lucifer tempts them, man falls, all of that jazz follows
All
out.
that good stuff.
All that good stuff.
The fall of Eden and everything.
Once that happens, the war in heaven starts. A lot of people think that this timeline happens prior to Adam and Eve being created. It's actually the other way round.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve were created while Lucifer and all of his third of angels were still in heaven. So the messy, you're a tacky messy bitch happened before that. And then he finds out and he's like, oh, okay, time to pick up arms against this cunt. So they do. God kicks their asses out of heaven. And then they form into, once they fall into hell, they form the demonic hierarchy.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born.
Sugar, spice, and sassy devilments. Yeah. So, in order to understand that, you must know the angelic hierarchy is broken down into 5 main hierarchies. Lucifer being the top, because he's obviously top. He was in a class of his own. He is the first angel that was created after the Watchers, also known as the Grigori. And then you have the
You're
cherubim.
about to put your whole dick into this episode, I
Right?
can tell, bro.
You have the cherubim, you have the seraphim underneath them, and then you have the ophanim, which are also known as the wheels or the powers.
So they get around?
They get around, they roll, and then you have the archangels and the virtues.
Now, yeah, the archangels are kind of like the ones you're familiar with. If you can think of the names of an angel.
Gabriel, Raphael.
Yeah.
They're all part of that
Amiel,
ilk.
yeah.
And Uriel and all of them.
That's what, like, where you get, like, anybody that has a name like that basically means, like, of God, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, these are people who, like, commune with God and stuff.
They're part of the in crowd, shall we say.
Uh-huh.
So
They're on the list.
in order to, basically, once you have a grasp of that, you have a grasp of how the hierarchy in hell works, right? So once you have the hierarchy in heaven, it basically breaks down as Lucifer is king of hell. You have the 7 princes. You have presidents. You have barons. You have lords. You have dukes. You have all of that stuff. And it follows basically down the same line.
Yeah.
So you have things like Asmodeus, Beelzebub, Beleth, Balbereth, which is the character in my book, I will say. And you have all of them, these bitches who are just like, you're tacky and we hate you.
See Psycho Pump Chapter 4.
Thank you. Always good to plug your own book. So once you get that firm tension, you begin to understand how everything works. And that kind of brings me into how hell is viewed in Christianity, because once you understand that, reading from your readings from the basic bitch Bible,
Yeah.
which is the King James, you get it that it's a place of eternal hellfire and, brimstone.
It's basically like...
All that.
Like, okay, so stepping outside of the myth of it, it's like this shit is all basically, like, conjured up or, like, invented in order to, like, keep you under the thumb of the church back in the day. Because it's like, if you're not good in this life, you're going to suffer forever.
Yeah.
It's like, that's like, you can't dance. And you can actually really understand why people were like, yo, dancing is like being possessed. Because it's like, think about how hard it is to sit in a room with the music on and not tap your foot or not...
Yeah, it's temptation.
Whatever it is. I can see why people associate devil, or like the devil with music.
With
and
the violin.
being taken over
fiddle.
and stuff,
Yeah.
The devil went down to Georgia looking for soul to steal. It makes sense, though,
And
as to
hooked
why
up
people...
with some bitches along the way.
It does make sense,
some
though.
bumps of coke.
I do like seeing the real world implication and why it made sense why people then had these feelings and honestly took this as face value, because it's like you had nothing else to go on. It's the same reason why any culture had, like, it's the same reason why Native Americans have the Thunderbirds, because they don't know why thunder and lightning happens. You come up with your own explanations and stuff.
It's true, and because at the time the Catholic Church... Now, again, this is all sort of based off of in and around Catholicism, because that's kind of where all the main weird Christian shit comes from.
It's Christian shit, but that looks nice.
Yes,
The Catholics have the nice decorations.
They've got the gilded gold, they've got the red velvets, they got everything.
The bejeweled skeletons.
So, like, when it comes to kind of bounce off what you're saying, like, the Catholic Church had everyone under their thumb. They were sitting underneath the boot heels of the Pope at the time, and anyone that said yes daddy, yes potpourri. So, like, when it comes to anything like that, you have the church and their tyrannical will kind of, looming over you the whole time.
Yeah.
Burn in hellfire or give me 50 pesos. That was how it worked back then.
Oh, your baby died and it wasn't christened? Fuck you.
You're going to
Or it's
hell.
like, your relative is dead. If you don't give me this money, they're going to be in purgatory.
Yeah.
Which is different to... What's the other thing? There's purgatory, and then there's the other thing that's like purgatory. What is that again?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, Nathan?
Limbo?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Limbo is like when you can get in and out of, and when you can't get out of. One is like you're stuck in the middle.
Yeah, so purgatory is the sort of the waiting area, whereas limbo is you're stuck there and you're not getting out.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's not hell, and it's not heaven.
But the churches would basically be like, okay, if your relative has died, if you give the church extra money, they're guaranteed a slot out of purgatory.
Yeah.
It's so
basically
fucked up,
like you're stuck in a waiting line for most of the time, which is the shit. So when it comes to understanding that hierarchy, you also get, which one thing that's always fascinated me is the Grigori, the Watchers. Mm-hmm. So these guys are, how do you explain them? They're sort of like, if you had the angelic hierarchy and their like DNA, the Watchers would be completely separate to them, although they were also known as the sons of God, right?
Yeah.
So you have things like Shemyaza, who is also appearing in my book.
I love that name.
It's so good. It's also Semjaza as well, which I love as well, but I think Shemyaza is cooler. So Shemyaza, who is basically so this is omitted from the Bible. During the Council of Nicaea, this was omitted completely from the Bible because they thought, we can't have angels fucking humans. That's not cool.
We do get a lot of like stuff externally from the Bible. The Bible is kind of like, again, like the basis of stuff, but we get a lot of stuff from like Jewish runoffs and stuff like that. It's kind of like where like Lilith and stuff is from as well, you know? It's a lot of like, it's the GCU or the GEU, the God's Extended Universe. You know? Like this expands over like a lot of different stuff, and a lot of different cultures have kind of their toe in this. They
kind of dipped their finger into a lot of sauces, and kind of mishmashed a lot of things, especially over the years. I mean, when you look at Jesus's life biography was running around the Mediterranean for at least 10 million years before Jesus ever technically walked the earth.
Well, for some, isn't it?
Krishna was born of a virgin. He was crucified, arose 3 days later, and he also walked on water.
Oh, and like all of that fucking imagery comes from fucking from
the Bhagavad Gita
Egypt.
from Egypt. Horus was also crucified. He had a John the Baptist, and he fought demons, rose the dead, was known as the Way, the Light, the Lamb, all of that. He was all known as that. So like, when it comes to
Catholics are very good at like finding stuff they like in lands they've gone to, and then
cafeteria
just kind of
Catholics take what you want, leave the rest.
It's much easier to kind of assimilate what's already there into your own lore versus trying to completely convert people to new stuff. You know, which you find a lot with like Catholicism in like Mexico or Catholicism in Ireland a lot. You know, they kind of like Saint Bridget. You'd really just kind of
is a pagan goddess.
There. Yeah, you take what's already there and
it's
make it your own.
So the Watchers were basically, they were these they were another band of renegade angels, right?
Yes.
And they looked upon the sons of the daughters of man, basically, and they were like, yo, they're kind of hot.
We should fuck these people.
We should fuck these people. And they went down to the planet Earth, to Terra, to Earth, and they fucked them. And they basically raised...
Didn't you?
Giants. They raised giants known as... If you're into like conspiracy theories, you will have heard this before, the Nephilim. And if you go by the King James Bible, David, Goliath said Goliath was a Nephilim, because he was known to be like 50 feet tall and all of that type of thing. So like the last known Nephilim, according to the Bible, was Goliath. And so basically what had happened is Gabriel, Michael, Ramiel, Uriel, all of them went down to Earth and murdered all the Watchers and condemned them to subjugation in chains in darkness. And if you believe it by the way it goes, the Tiber, the Nile, and the other one,
I'm very familiar with this,
the Ganges, all three of those rivers, the tale goes that when they dry up,
that's been happening lately.
We've been seeing that happen in real life. The Watchers, which is crazy.
It's one of them has yet to be found. One of those rivers is yet to be like exactly found. But we also think that like if
one of the rivers was mythically supposed to be running through the Garden of Eden,
exactly. So if
because we all know that was in Africa,
exactly. Like, but exactly though, like if
Cradle of Life,
if like Christian mythology and like real world shit is supposed to have been merged through the lens of these people who believe this. It would be hard to find this through the way of like the Great Flood and stuff like that would have like spread these rivers out over, and it would have been kind of impossible to like mark down, okay, this is exactly where that was. But that's happening at the moment now, where some of these real life rivers, because we found 2 out of 3 in real life, that they're starting to dry up in certain ways, and we're finding cave systems and like buildings and structures under this. So it's like when stuff like that happens, I'm like,
you're just like, end times are happening.
I was gonna say, I look up at my Baphomet statue and I'm like, am I doing it right? Or like, am I doing whose side am I on? This is terrible. I mean, the devil has all the aesthetics and shit, but also like, is heaven just praying forever?
Well, you see, I always look at that idea as like it's exactly what Hellraiser said. Like, are you going to pray to God forever and ever and one tone where we can just like slice you up and
fucked up.
get fucked up forever?
Yeah, but
Does
we can
that
do,
sound
like-
more enticing?
Yeah, we can like do coke here. Or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, like when I was younger, I was
Nobody
like,
says anything.
but like heaven is like, oh, you get to go and you just have like as many PlayStations as you want, and there's
Yeah.
pools, and it's like Christmas every day. You know, but I feel like heaven, if it is in fact kind of a reflection of how God's values were at the very beginning and haven't strayed from that at all, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get to eat
Literally.
fish or pig. I'm not
God
wearing
is
a nice
vengeful,
cotton
bro.
blend.
Oh,
You
yes.
know,
After
that
Labor Day.
wife is locked in the shed when she's bleeding.
Yep.
You know,
Stone the bitch if she
Fucking
lies
hell.
down with animals.
I'm not going there.
Yeah. God damn.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah, literally.
Literally. how are you doing, meow flower? Asher, it's himself.
It's only himself.
Who else would it be? I love Irish like mannerisms like that.
So let's switch it over
Yeah.
from the angelic hierarchy to obviously the demonic hierarchy.
This is where we get into the politics of it all.
This is where we get into the politics.
We have
and
elected
bitch,
officials.
let me just tell you, there are presidents.
We've got Lucifuge, Hillary Clinton, we got Saddam Hussein. I like to believe that in my version of hell, it's South Park Satan. You know?
So actually, come to think of it, that's actually a great kind of jumping off point. So let's take South Park Satan, for example, right? So I mean, just look at Satan on that Paradise Lost
What
cover.
have you become ascended? I fucking
Or
love
just
that movie.
like look at them, like them, for example, right? So
Because that Satan is kind of cunt though. Like he's sexy.
So like let's take it from a point of view where also can we talk about the fact that those two statues, the brothers,
I know.
Catholic Church commission-
Yeah, it's like so one brother was like commissioned by the Catholic Church to make a statue of Satan, and they were like, it's too sexy. Like the nuns
he's
are
got a
kind
crown,
of like
he's broken his chains, he's
buff,
flexing.
He's got like it's like the typical like what you would picture an angel to look like the very like
Picture
pre-Raphaelite
David,
hair.
but with a
with bat
crown,
wings.
chains, and bat wings.
Exactly, like just
That's
think,
it.
like a
He
beautiful
was
angel
too
but with
hot,
bat wings
basically.
instead. And they were like, the nuns are getting a little distracted.
Yeah.
The nuns are getting distracted. I see you, padre. So we're gonna fire you. We're gonna need you to get rid of the statue. And then they hired his brother, who, to use Christian terms, turned to the other cheek, and then they just an absolutely ridiculously sexier version of Satan, where it's literally Satan like in like a Calvin Klein, where he's like commercial, where he's literally like grabbing his hair and like looking down and flexing, and he's only wearing a little piece of fabric.
And he's got even muscular wings.
What did
It's
you,
so
what did you guys
funny.
do with the other stuff?
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, where's that gone? Hey,
So if we take like as I was saying, like if you take South Park Satan and then you take that image of Satan, right?
yeah,
In my opinion, like I've said this before and I've said this to you, I cannot fathom and I hate the notion, I absolutely despise the notion of
because
them
he
being
is just a red devil.
like just red skin, and I know it's stolen from the god Pan. It's been twisted and molded into like an evil thing.
Yeah.
But which I simultaneously respect and hate at the same time.
Which is why my logic as a kid, or like not even as a kid, as like a younger teenager, as to why that shit wasn't real, was the fact that it's like, you just stole that shit. Like,
Yeah.
you can't sell that to me as like, this is this eternal being that we only have described once we got to these other cultures who actually
Yeah.
worshipped things like this.
Yes.
Or even like the Green Man, the idea of this like horned god.
Old Albion lives.
But seriously though, it's like the idea of having this like horned god, it's like pretty, like most cultures, like most pagan cultures also just kind of have that image of like nature and man kind of mixing, and
Yeah.
then we like we get
Unification
Baphomet and
and
stuff.
purity.
Exactly, it's like nature is, or something
As
is both because nature is
intended.
both.
Yeah.
That's why we have like Baphomet that has like breasts and a penis
Yeah.
and a human, and like a human body, but like a goat's head
Hooves,
and
a
hooves,
snake.
wings.
Yeah.
And a
everything.
candle
the
in the
moon,
middle
the
of the
sun.
head. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But when it comes to, at least in my understanding of it, is these things, these demons that suddenly turn into hooved, red scales, you know, teeny tiny horns and a goatee
South
and
Park
a
devil.
pronged fork pitchfork thing poking you in the
Your
asshole.
regular cartoon, like, horny little devil.
Yeah, like
Red
you're
skin.
if you can imagine that, how does Lucifer, the Lightbringer, the most purest thing imaginable in the angelic hierarchy, suddenly become that?
A beautiful angel.
And it just irks me when I suddenly think about it, because I often I look at them and I go, where's the nobility that they once had?
Yeah.
The wisdom that they still have, the power that they still have. The only difference is they've lost their feathers.
Yeah, like,
That's
you don't
the
just
only
become this, like,
difference.
feral, like, completely other
Yeah.
creature.
They don't want to suddenly just, like, want to throw you into a vat of, scalding acid in a cauldron and, like, stir you around with
now you're
millions
red
of other
and
naked people.
and
Like, it just doesn't make
pokey,
sense.
and now you have hooves
You
and
know,
stuff.
and him just, like, stroking a little goatee. No, that just doesn't make sense to me in my head. So, like, when I imagine a fallen angel, like, if you look at my Psychopomp book on Instagram, you will see my interpretation of them, and there still is that hidden beauty.
They're
the
still
nobility.
angels.
They're still angels.
Yeah.
They've just been destroyed. They're still these powerful beings that could literally, wipe out the world if they wanted to.
And I think, like, media is actually kind of moving towards that kind of way, because I feel like 5 years ago, or even like a couple of years ago, if you had asked somebody, like, what do you think a biblically accurate angel looks like, they would draw a person with, like, pigeon wings or swan wings or something.
White man with, a
feathery
powder
hair.
blue robe,
Yeah.
and, some
And
swan wings.
a cherub kind of
Yeah.
thing, but like a grown up cherub kind of thing, just very plain.
And
But
when
I
you
feel
think
like
of a
now-
cherub, like, you get
Angel
a little
baby.
sinner. You get angel baby.
Yeah, that
But
would be
in the
all.
Bible, what is it? It's a big fucking man with a lion head, an
Yeah.
ox head, and a falcon head. He's
fucking
got wings
scary.
on his head.
Yeah.
He's got wings on his back. He's got wings on his feet. He's gold, and he's got one hoof foot.
Yeah, but it's
Like,
a top, though.
yeah, but is he a top though?
But I feel like media is slowly starting to move away from there.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like we've gotten inundated with, like, a million versions of hell in media. But it's like, I've always been curious to see what heaven looks like.
Yeah.
And that movie Legion, you
Yes.
seen that? Because we get to see kind of the fall of heaven and, like, all that kind of stuff, and, like, the war in heaven, where we just get to see these, like, different types of angels, but just, like, a multitude, just thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and they show angels as being scary.
Yeah.
Because I believe Michael is the angel that we follow in that movie.
Yeah.
And he's been shorn of his wings. And
The other one is Gabriel.
And Gabriel comes down, and Gabriel is like bad bitch, like messenger or
Got
whatever.
a spinning fucking warning star.
It's cool though. It's really
great.
fucking cool. His entrance is him, like, flying into it, spinning around with these, like, wings that are like metal tipped,
Yeah.
and there's they have halos, but it's more like a neck brace chain.
Yeah.
Like, it's more of like a sign of slavery to God to have the halo. But then
Yeah,
when
because-
he rips his wings off, we
Yeah.
see the halo, like, disperse.
It breaks and it disappears.
It's actually
yeah.
really I actually highly recommend that movie. It's very
Because
good.
that's the mythology behind that. Once an angel shears his wings or cuts his wings or loses his wings in
Yeah.
any way, he either becomes a demon or he becomes human.
Yeah.
And that's always fascinating. I love that.
Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there is, like, a very, very low tier of angels that are
Our guardian angels. Guardian angels are the lowest tier.
are just that
Or
kind
lowest choir, I should
are
say.
just that person with dove wings. It's
Yes.
like, that's kind of the classical depict. If you asked 100 people to draw an angel,
That's the first
99
thing
of
they
them
would
would draw that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true. So when it comes to their destroyed forms and things like that, this is where you really get into the politics, and that's why, like, it always moves into things like the Ars Goetia and the Key of Solomon for me, especially with people like Aleister Crowley and all of that. So, and we'll get into him. So when it comes to hell, obviously the first the Prince Regent, you would say, obviously would be Lucifer, because he was the one that led a third of angels against God and everything else, and he was the first thing to fall. And apparently, now this is not in Paradise Lost, this is not in Dante's Inferno or anything like that.
Word on the street is.
The angels who fell from heaven fell for 7 days and 7 nights.
Yes.
And they continuously fall, and as they fell, they were transformed, blah blah blah. Lucifer was the one that made the most shall we say, enigmatic fall.
And we see that that's depicted again in Paradise Lost. It's that really famous image. You've probably seen it if you have any kind of interest in this, where it's you see the globe, and then you see Satan falling.
Yes.
It's really, really beautiful.
It's there's a very specific scene after that sort of like and it's like it's so fantastic how Paradise Lost is the one that kind of like reveals it more, because in Paradise Lost, when Lucifer first falls, he loses hope because he thinks, oh, I've lost utterly and that's it. And believe it or not, this lieutenant Beelzebub he's the reason why he is the prince, why Beelzebub is Prince Regent and King is Lucifer, because Beelzebub was the one who goated Lucifer, so to speak, who goated Lucifer into rising up. He was just like,
get up, bitch!
Get up, bitch! Don't be a messy cunt. Just get up. Tell these other cunts to get moving, and let's get fucking moving here. Yeah. Don't be a messy bitch. And Lucifer was like, fine. And then he just said that famous, I guess.
What's Aramaic for fine? You know.
So like he basically just says the famous lines, which are "Rise now or be forever fallen."
Yeah.
And basically, Lucifer gathers around him the first court of hell, which are the 7 princes: Balbreth, Asmodeus, Leviathan, Beelzebub, and a bunch of others. Payman.
Can we get into Leviathan at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
Again, this will be a whole continuing series. Like we'll touch on everything that we don't touch on.
Like Leviathan, very quickly on that one. Leviathan, if you don't know that obviously already, he is the sea serpent god. He is the embodiment of chaos. Behemoth.
Like on land.
But Leviathan takes on a different meaning in Demonology, where Leviathan is a creature of darkness. He was just there, God cast him out, and Leviathan became part of the ruling class, shall we say, of hell. But you do have a lot. You have Astaroth, you've loads of those other ones. You've Payman,
Leviathan is another one that is shared a lot between other cultures too.
Oh, a lot. He shows up a lot in other cultures. Like you have Apopus in Egyptian mythology, Tiamat.
Yeah.
You have the the mother of monsters in Greek mythology, all of that. So basically they form, underneath those princes, they form courts themselves. They have barons, they have dukes, they have marquises, they have presidents, they have principalities, all of this. And they're obviously known as parts of like the deadly sins as well, because Lucifer himself is obviously denoting pride. Beelzebub is gluttony. Sloth is Astaroth. All these types of things, you know. Lust is Leviathan. All of these types of things. And kind of leading into that, the whole kind of hell and inferno thing, just to like very lightly touch on it, you can define hell in any way you want, right? Yeah. Because obviously Christianity just tells you it's hell and brimstone and
like
eternal lake fire with chains,
which is like, as a kid, it's like I've at least like here, or at least like with our upbringing, because we went to school and we were taught this, and like
we were taught this on Sundays. It scared us to death.
But I feel like I honestly feel like a generation or two ahead of us in our country very much so would have genuinely believed this. That's why like my aunties and stuff, I actually showed my auntie Linda my wall. I think we talked about my my room on the podcast at one point, where I have a wall of just Hindu imagery, because I find religious imagery beautiful. I know you're on the same page where we don't really subscribe to any of that, but we can still appreciate the aesthetic of it. Exactly. People, when people are that devoted to stuff, it really produces some of the most beautiful art ever. Yeah. So I have Buddhism on one wall, and then I have Catholicism on the other wall, and she saw that other wall and she was like, that scares the shit out of me. Yeah. It's cause they were raised with the idea that if you fuck up, you're going to hell, or God is always watching you, or again, it is kind of set up in a way to really keep you under the thumb or keep you under the rule, because it's like, if you go against what we're saying, you're going to burn forever and it'll never stop, you know? And when you're younger, when you're told this stuff, it's like the idea of hell is really, really fucking scary. It's terrifying. But then you get into other media representations. I think American Horror Story has a good depiction of hell, where it's like, it's your own personal hell, where it's just think about what the absolute worst situation would be for you personally, and then just that on a loop
I'm going
all
to be
time.
honest, my personal hell would be working at Westwood Club Aston Key for just an endless array of assholes telling me they want 5-day split routines for free, and I have to give every single one of them a workout that takes at least a day to do, and the line never stops, and I just keep giving them the same thing, and they keep giving me shit over my
It is crazy how
performance.
much like work and stuff like even in American Horror Story, Madison's one is working retail again. But no joke, when I was working in the range, fucking that right,
Fuck you, you homophobic piece of shit.
I was sitting there on tills at one point, and it's like I've been on this till for like 6 hours, and it's like I know that sounds really melodramatic, but it's the idea of
It
just
is.
being like, but it's the idea of no, it's the idea of feeling trapped, of
Yes.
just being like, this is like never
This
gonna
is my
end.
life.
I have another
Yeah.
like 4 hours of this to go, and then it's
Yeah.
like, you know, again,
It's
like
true.
that is really melodramatic, but it's the idea of a personal hell. I think mine, honestly, like nightmare wise, has been like falling, or like falling forever, or and never stopping, or the like falling up into like the vastness of space kind of thing. You know,
Yeah.
just something that is never ending. You know, but then again, like talking about what we were talking about earlier, with stuff like those rivers, like kind of lowering, and we're seeing stuff like this, you kind of do like
You do get a genuine fear.
yeah, I'm not an atheist by any stretch of the imagination. I am very, very spiritual, but it's like, again, I'm kind of on a weird journey looking for stuff, but then when you see stuff like that happening, it's like,
Yes.
I've sucked dicks, what am I gonna do? You're like, oh my god, I'm eating shellfish. I am a split-hoofed creature, you know? Like, what am I gonna do? I'm wearing a cotton blend. Fuck's sake, bro. Call Sarah
The
and
violence.
Jacob and get them to help me, bro. You know?
So when it comes to like those sort of interpretations of hell, it's like it's very personal. It's defined as like torment in the eternal,
Or like
right?
Raimi's depiction of like for Drag Me to Hell. That's
Yes.
scary, bro.
Yeah.
That opening scene where the child is just like
Just
the
loads
ground
of
just
hands.
splits up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's very Jewish though, because they have
Yes.
the Lamia and stuff, which is a Jewish demon, who's
the
like who
Dibbo
follows her
and all
around
that.
and stuff. I love that movie though.
It's creepy.
She gets called a whore by a goat, bro.
You and Tevin hard.
Have we talked about that movie yet?
We haven't, but we definitely should.
That's a great movie. Or then at the end when the ground opens up for her and
Oh, and
she's
she
pulled
just,
in,
like-
and it's like all the
She's
skin
like
just
melting and shit.
yeah, the skin just like withers off her face, and like poor Justin Long in fucking horror movies just sees it though. You know, it's like what would like his world in that movie would have been so completely just like hell is real. Like if
Oh
you
yeah, for
found
the
something,
rest of his life.
if you found something like that out, you would just immediately become devoutly Christian.
Yeah.
You know, or would you? Because then it's like, wait, if this
I
is
don't
real,
subscribe.
what else is real?
Yeah.
You know, I always
Yeah.
say that about a movie. If I found out a witch was real, I'd be like, yo, what is there, like werewolves? Are vampires real? Are fairies real? What's the deal with God? What is it in Drag Race?
What does
hey,
Rick
it's me,
Sanchez
God.
say? Hey, it's me,
But it's
God.
just Michelle.
What does Rick Sanchez say? Try not to think about it.
Oh, but then you could burn in hell. And I don't like to be burned.
Burnal, hellfire, hellchild. So, the one thing that's always held a fascination for me, I've mentioned
Held.
it twice now,
Fascination for-
is obviously Dante's Inferno.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just going to very quickly touch on it because we're on the topic of hell and the Inferno itself.
Well, a
is,
lot of modern day lore from hell,
is
like I was
based
saying,
off of
comes
Dante's
from not
Inferno.
even the Bible itself. The Bible doesn't even go into
No, it
details about
doesn't.
any
In
of that at
fact, the
all.
Bible mainly calls hell Hades.
Yeah.
At times. Well, actually, most of the time, it doesn't say hell. It either calls hell by the name of Satan or it calls hell by Hades.
And old hell doesn't actually seem that bad because you can
Well,
kind
it
of
doesn't,
work your way out
because-
of it. It's not
Yeah.
it's not permanent in that way unless you do like certain stuff.
You're giving off Mother Satan in Passion of the Christ right now.
Oh, I still have eyebrows though.
So,
We have to talk about that next Easter.
maybe.
Please.
We'll think about it.
I
So-
won't give Mel Gibson any money.
The sort of more modern version, shall we say, or view of hell.
I'd pull a hairy
Was-
baby out. Sorry.
Yeah. that grins like disgustingly.
That's an old woman. Oh,
So
there's a werewolf in that movie as well
right?
for like 2 seconds. Sorry.
So like the modern it was sort of coined by Dante Alighieri in the mid 1400s.
Yeah.
Was the Inferno, which is the first part of his trilogy in the Divine Comedy. And
Like the images of hell that come into my mind are like those John Milton paintings.
are
of
from
just this, like it's a
it's a chasm.
exactly just
that
a
opens
huge,
up.
massive scape of just
Yeah.
fire and explosions and brimstone and chaos and
Yeah.
thunder and lightning and lava and
And it's terrifying because the way those hell breaks down is it's broken down into 9 circles. You have limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, anger, violence, heresy, fraud, and treachery. Treachery being the worst because it was Lucifer himself who betrayed God, and he was cast the furthest away, because that's the way he views it, and that's how we get the idea of as you go further away from God, it's not hotter, it's colder. And it only makes more sense in my head that, of course, the ultimate traitor would be Lucifer himself.
Yeah.
And he would be locked in a cage of ice. And it makes sense because the
which is
further
almost
you are...
worse. Like, would you rather like freeze to death forever, or would you rather burn forever?
Yeah.
Like, they're the two like
He
ones I feel like would be
even
the worst.
Dante even describes, like, there's this point where he passes through the layers between fraud and treachery, where ice perform the effect of fire.
What's the punishment for fraud? You just tell the truth a lot.
So fraud...
Be honest. Forever.
Tell me your darkest secrets.
Yeah, for
No,
real.
fraud is actually broken down into 10 malleables, which is known as deep pockets, right? And each of those 10 pockets carries a specific version of fraud. So fraud against your neighbor, fraud against your enemy,
Against your parents and stuff.
like witchcraft and all of this comes into that area. Lying for money to this and blah blah blah, all of that kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? And it's sort of like Dante describes, and he faints so many times. He's such a wimp.
What a bitch.
He faints just before, but as he wakes up, he passes between the fire and the ice, and he goes that the ice offered no relief. It only performed the effect of fire. And he said, like, it was just as worse, if not even more worse.
Because it's still suffering. It's like the idea with
Yeah.
hell is that it's suffering with no end.
Yeah.
At least here, it's like if you suffer and suffer and suffer, at some point you'll die, and there's an end to it. But it's just the idea of like, again, these are the things I think about when I'm like really high and like,
Yeah.
or I'm just like burning forever though. That's like a really long time, dude.
It's such an effort.
It's just like I have shit to do.
Yeah.
You know?
But I always found it so interesting that it was very deeply defined that each sin, each punishment reflected the sin of the punished. And it was worse every single time. Like,
Yeah.
Limbo was basically, you were just hanging around on a shore waiting for a boat that would never come.
Very Hammurabi.
Yeah. And then you have King Minos, who is boiled in his own bath by Daedalus. If you don't know, King Minos was the king of Crete during the time of the Minotaur.
Yeah.
And who
Had
was
sex with a ball.
Was it Perseus?
Perseus in the don't tell me, I'll get it. In the don't tell me the word. Don't tell me the word. Keep talking about other stuff though.
So Minos
that's gonna
judges
piss me
you
off.
to the lower circles, and this is always an image I've never forgotten. Is Minos judges you to the lower circles beneath him by wrapping himself around in how many coils of his own snake-like tail, which is so weird to me. Then you have gluttony, which you are starving for all of existence, and you sit in your own shit and sludge while piss rains on you. The lustful...
I'd rather be the labyrinth. Sorry,
The labyrinth.
Yes.
The lustful are blown about in hurricanes because it reflects their own lust needs that they couldn't control in life. The greedy are... Yeah. The greedy are... Oh, no, but, like, it's hurricane winds. That type of thing.
yeah.
Like, there's
shit, I'd rather be in a hurricane than be in a
this one
lake of
wood
fire.
engraving of Dante pointing out at this fucking literal hurricane wind made up of bodies. Yeah, right. So
like Pride.
you have obviously greed. It sounds like Pride.
Hurricane of Flesh.
Come on, Cenobite.
Doesn't sound that bad. No.
You have greed, which they're just the
You'll have nothing.
no. You actually have the avaricious and the squanderers, the avarice and the squanderers.
Yeah.
So the avarice who hoarded and the squanderers who threw everything away, and they are forced to carry a massive bag of coins up this mountain to only have that bag roll all the way back down,
Yeah.
and then they have to continue. It's the meaningless point of existence.
For some reason,
money.
stuff like this, like, again, this is kind of another reason why I feel like, again, as a kind of spiritual person who doesn't believe that there is just nothing,
Yeah.
for some reason, again, this is stuff that, like laws and stuff, like cause and effect law and stuff like this, again, was invented by people, you know, and it's still relatively new in terms of how long people have been around. So it's like, it's easier for me to discount stuff like this by being like, you got that from that, you know, or you got this from there that was already around before you were, you know. It's like Christianity is still, like, in terms of like old world religion, still relatively new.
Yes, in terms
know?
of like the mainline religions, meaning Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, that Christianity is the latest of the three.
Yeah, and then you get like paganism and shit like that, which has just like always been around in some way,
Hinduism
shape, or form.
was around thousands, millions of years before Judaism was ever around.
It's like, I think
and
paganism
then
makes the
Egyptian
most
mythology
sense.
was
It's like,
before that.
Yeah.
It's so long.
But then it's like, you get like cave people and stuff who, before they even had like words for this shit, it's like, I think it makes the most sense for people to worship the sun or to worship the moon,
ground, the
or
earth,
exactly, like
the fruits,
there's
the sea.
direct connections and stuff.
The seasons, the stars, everything.
Exactly. And shit like that still remains. It's like,
Exactly.
it's, you know, it's why we celebrate Halloween, or it's why we have Christmas trees in our fucking living rooms. Thanks
That's why
to
we called it
Egyptians and
Yule
stuff.
beforehand.
Exactly. You know, like, I don't know. I think, like, out of all of them, I think like paganism and stuff like that makes the most sense, because it's like it is the most directly cause and effect.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I worship the sun because the sun does this for me, and I can see that happening. You know, I feel like that is most people's big gripe with religion and God and stuff like that, is that, like, you can't see it, you can't physically see it, and humans are
I don't
visual
think it's a
creatures in
gripe
that
with
way.
religion. I think it's more so organized religion that people have a gripe with.
Yeah,
Because
but I
it's
mean, like,
what
if
man
God,
says
if
about
a,
God,
if a
not
giant
what
man
God
came out of
does.
the sky and parted the seas, I think most people would be like, "Oh, okay, God is real." You know?
Yeah,
like,
but
it's like humans, like, by nature, kind of need tangibility. Like, they need to be able to see and touch and explore things to really, like, put faith in it.
Yeah.
You know, versus like, just take my word for it. Also, give me money.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? Maybe the world would be better if we could actually tax religions.
Oh my god, that would be fantastic.
Every time we pass the big cathedral on, me and Emma, every time we pass the cathedral on Parnell, like on your way up to Parnell Street or whatever like that, she's always like, how many homeless people do you reckon you could stack up in there? But seriously though,
That's
it's
true.
like, think about how, think like Ireland right now has a massive fucking housing crisis, and it's like,
problem, yeah.
we have like upwards of like 50 like giant cathedrals, like churches in town, and it's like, if these people really, really, really wanted to like do all that, you could fit these fucking people in here.
It's true.
You know,
It's true.
Like, that's the thing about religion; you can do it anywhere. You don't necessarily need a place of worship. You know.
Okay. As the gaggedy goopty goop goop gag.
I'm just saying, religion is. I still find it crazy how strong of a hold religion has on the world.
Well, speaking of having a strong hold on the world, let's talk about the Ars
I
Goetia.
think somebody's getting murdered in your kitchen.
That's fine. They can live with that.
We're recording right now.
Yeah, could someone not get stabbed, please? So let's talk about having a strong hold over the world. Let's talk about bargaining with them.
Okay.
With them. Non-binary.
We get the witches.
We get the witches.
We got our conjurers.
We've got our conjurers.
We got our necromancers.
Yes.
We have our
Priests. We have our
Satanists.
We have our Satanists.
Actually, no. Satanism actually really has nothing to do with the devil.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It's just they use him as a focal point, but like
it looks
kind
cool.
of, yeah, that's kind of all that is Satanism. watch that documentary on Netflix.
We'll get into that at some point. Satanists, they're
a pretty cool bunch.
Their
I gotta
pillars
say.
are pretty
They're
cool.
a good
They have
bunch.
like specific.
They do more than the fucking Catholic Church does
to protect people. They
Hypocritical,
have
like.
specific kind of values against like don't touch people unless they ask to be touched, or like don't be
Respect
fucking
people's
weird.
boundaries.
Exactly.
Understand.
Don't give people unwanted opinions and stuff like that.
Accepting everything.
Yeah.
You know? So, the Ars Gotia was my third big talking point. So the Ars Gotia, in case you don't know or you're unfamiliar with it, the Ars Gotia is a compendium of demonic names, their traits, their callings, and how to protect yourself and summon them. So in specificity, what basically this is, it's a book of 72 demons, their benefits, that if you call them, and how to strike up a deal.
Yes.
The Ars
Strike
Gotia,
a deal. Sorry.
strike a deal. Da da da. Lucifer, Beelzebub, da 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 da. Ka-ka-da-ka-ka-ka.
One day I will
Boom.
write that out properly. It'll be good.
Lucifer gave good face. So the thing is, now you will not find the big players in the Ars Gotia. They are not to be messed with, because they're just like, you can't. If you summon them, it's not going to end well for you.
Yeah.
So you will not find Lucifer, you will not find Beelzebub, you will not find any of the big players in the demon world.
You get your lesser demons, you get your payments.
You get your payments, you get you get loads of them, right? But the best thing about that book, right, is it gives you their sigils.
Yeah.
And these are the things that you would call them out from certain points of things. So for example, Payman. Payman is summoned through the northwest. It's not like it's said in the film. He's summoned from the northwest. You draw a circle of salt around you, and you will wear a silver ring on your middle finger of your right hand, because that is what will protect you, because silver repels Payman.
I love the descriptions of him though, where it's like a teenage body with like a woman's face, like a beautiful woman's face, and then like
Riding
on
a camel.
camelback. Yeah.
With 3 heads. So
It's
Payman,
kind of reflected in the sigil, kind of ish. We got the little.
yes, you get a long curve.
It's like an
dividing
upside down
sign.
U with little curvies on the end and 3 little spit curls on top that look like
separate heads.
Yeah.
So he, based off of things, now the whole kind of covets a male body, things like that, that's purely for Hereditary, in case you're all familiar with that kind of thing. He does give riches, that's his main big thing, and he does give good familiars. Now, in case you're wondering what a familiar is,
Hey, Payman, how's your familiar?
hey,
haven't had any
how you
complaints.
doing? You got any good familiars for me? You got any good points of contact?
Do you want to hang out? Talk
So-
about yo man. Sorry.
He provides. The familiar comes up to the, let me tell you.
You shoot an arrow real high. Good for you.
I got some goth. You got the hot goth.
Would you summon me? I'd summon me so hard.
Somebody's so hard.
We still haven't talked about Silence of the Lambs. That is crazy.
We will. So, what a familiar is it's usually in the form of an animal.
Yes.
It is a lesser demon inhabiting that animal, and it is there to provide secrets. Technically, all demons provide secrets of the universe, right?
Yeah.
Or they unlock secrets of the universe that man cannot do for itself.
That's what I usually find in media. It's like people are usually striving for like knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, and then like they're willing to like do all this stuff for it. But then like with familiars, like that's why you see like witches with a black cat or like a toad or a ferret or what. Do you know what? They actually do it in Harry Potter. They all have a little animal that is their own little thing.
Like technically,
You know,
Hedwig
is
a familiar,
but he straight up is though.
Yeah.
You know.
So what they do is like they basically provide it's protection. They're your watchdog, basically.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing as like Salem in
Exactly. He's
Sabrina.
straight up. Yeah, I
He's
feel like
straight up
that's
a familiar.
the easiest, most classic kind of thing. Witch, black cat.
Yeah.
You know, you associate these things, or then also there's the kind of thing of wow, I don't know where I was going. Go ahead.
But basically, they're your watchdog, right?
Yes.
And they are your I was going to say consigliere, but they're your point of contact for payment, right? As well. So like, if you're like, hey, listen, get me a hit, I need the drug dealer, okay? Your familiar is going to bounce back into hell and be like, Payman, this bitch needs you again. And Payman will pop up and be like, hey, what do you want? And he'll be like, oh, can you get me another bump? And Payman will be like, yeah, cool, but it's going to cost you. And then the familiar will come back with the price.
Yeah.
Payman will never reveal what he actually wants from you, because Payman will always try to lie to you.
Yeah.
So the familiar's job is there to bring that lie back to you, and you have to decide then and there, and you can only do it within the circle of salt and wearing the ring. Then you can only decide then and there whether you want to go ahead with it or not, and then you will find out later, oh, Payne was actually being a shady bitch.
I feel like that, which always surprises me in movies or any media about this shit. It's like, really? You're fucking shocked that this demon betrayed you? You're shocked the devil wasn't telling you the
The
truth?
literal anti-angels who hate your living guts.
For real, whose whole thing is
Didn't
to
want
trick
you?
you and to like coax you into this.
Giving us your souls.
I kind of
like,
almost
come
wish
on.
in Hereditary, because it's one of the first ones I've seen in a very long time that didn't just go for I am Lucifer or I am
Yeah.
the devil.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that again, everything in that movie was inferred. It
Yeah.
referred to our like 3.5 hour long episode for Hereditary, but like we do see stuff like that, like the idea that like I'm pretty sure the ring is on like the grandmother's hand. Maybe when we see like a summoning space in her room where we see this circle that's been mapped out.
Yeah.
We see all the little words kind of just planted around the house and stuff.
Satany!
Yeah.
Dagamy! Peter!
Yeah, I just... Glamour. Dracula. Well,
Can you imagine that's a floor show, Summoning a Demon.
for real,
That would
are
be
you watching? Are you currently
Gag.
watching?
I love it. It's
Very
great.
good.
It's so fucking good.
That'll-
Melissa...
That'll be an episode
Girl.
soon. Oh, are you caught up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl.
In my mind, I was like, just go then.
Just leave.
Why don't you
Just
leave?
leave.
Yeah.
Just fuck off.
That's the thing. As soon as
Oh.
somebody admits something like that in a
Yeah.
reality show, it's like, go.
Just
Then
get
you're
out.
gone. Why don't you just go?
You're
Yeah.
gone. You're gone.
Yeah, for real.
If you stay for the elimination, we all know you're gone. You might as well just drop your ass down that shaft.
For real, just go.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, very, very small. Something that really got me with Drag Race, you can tell they're on a secret location, and then with Dragula, it's like there's a road right there.
Yeah.
She's outside having a cigarette, and there's literally like a crosswalk or something right there. They're just in a building somewhere in California. Sorry, so Demonology.
So Demonology. But God, we do so many tangents. Where am I? Oh yeah. So here's the thing with actually making the deal is, don't forget, is the offerings. So first of all, it's implied in like the Ars Goetia, the Lesser Key of Solomon, through Crowley, all of that first of all, they are going to appear to you in a fair form. They're going to appear to you like the way Payman appears with like tubular bells and trumpets and horns and all of that. He will try to appear to you in the most beautiful form, but that is purely there to deceive.
It's a guise,
you.
yeah.
It's a guise.
Same with like Crowley when he went to Egypt and stuff with his wife or whatever. She like had all these like experiences and shit, and it's like it's not scary on the outside or whatever like that. And it's like, yeah, but if you look at the implication of what you're doing, you know, or he's like in this like ancient ass fucking cave, and she's like communing with like Egyptian gods.
Yeah,
and stuff, you
yeah.
know? I would absolutely love a fictional kind of alternate reality version, like movie of Aleister Crowley's life, just because like if we got on screen everything he said for face value and saw it as he described it, that would be really fucking cool.
That would be massive.
Imagine getting married to Aleister Crowley and he takes you on your fucking honeymoon to go to Egypt and you are suddenly talking to Horus and stuff like that. That would be fucking cool as shit.
Believe it or not, that was actually my last bit on the Ars Goetia is Crowley contributed to the Ars Goetia, and he was the one that revealed the Prime Minister of Hell well, the Prime Minister. There's loads of Prime Ministers, but you have the Prime Minister, which is the one he communed with. And I think it's a good post to actually stick up will be some of the images that Crowley drew of these demons.
Yeah.
Because Lucifuge Rofical,
I love that name so much.
and he's in my book. He's fucking a court slave when we first meet him, and who was spoiled by Beelzebub. Just saying. But Prime Minister Lucifuge Rofical is probably one of the biggest demons. He's the first one when you open that book. He's the first one that you deal with, and Lucifuge Rofical is when I talk about a familiar going back and forth between you and the demon, Lucifuge is the one that goes back and forth between you and the princes of hell.
Yeah,
it is like crazy.
My first reference for like a lot of these names and stuff is again kind of like being like weird kid reading like all this myth and stuff. An album that I think I've recommended to you a couple of times on this podcast, Coven. They have their first album. They have a song called For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, an acronym for fuck or whatever, and where they go through and they kind of name all these demons and like by rank and stuff like that. That was kind of like one of my first kind of big breakdowns of the actual like politics of hell and stuff. I'll have that because now Instagram has a new little feature where you can put music in the background of a visual post or whatever. I think that's pretty cool. I'll throw that up on one of those. For real though.
So the last thing, the biggest thing...
Oh, went on to an hour. I was like, did that just restart recording? I freaked out for a second.
So the last thing, well, at least out of the topic, because I do want to come back to demonology for like loads of other things, but
this is just one section.
This is one section that I kind of wanted to just, thought bubble head pieces.
Tiamat, we see you.
We see you. we want to see you walk down the runway of their Harry podcast. So the Lesser Key of Solomon. Now this is one of those things where I literally be like, my God, wasn't Solomon such a fucking badass? This fucking cunt, right? So Solomon is the how do I explain it? He's the descendant of King David, who is obviously the line of Jesus and blah 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 blah. So Solomon, being the fucking badass bitch he was, summoned the 72 demons of the Ars Gotia, right? Those are how to summon those demons. The Lesser Key of Solomon is how to ensnare, entrap, and command those demons, right? And
that is badass as fuck.
It's badass as fuck. And you know how he did it? The motherfucker crafted a ring and literally said, "You're a messy bitch, go build me my temple." Not a word of a lie.
Where's the movies based on shit like this? Seriously.
Like, this shit is so fucking cool to me.
It's just like
the man
imagery.
sat on his throne and was like, I pulled you up out of hell. Get the fuck over there and build that wall. And the demon was like, no, I don't want to do that. And Solomon was like, give me a fucking name.
Yeah.
And I'm going to write it in this book.
Oh,
and
then
that's you're going to go over there
and
fucking
it's like you can fuck them up if you find their name.
Yeah. And that's how you command them. Because that was descended from Jesus.
Yeah.
Because Jesus did the same thing. He said, give me your name and I will have power over you.
You actually find that a lot in like exorcism movies. Like one of the prime examples is like the exorcism of Emily Rose. She gives like 15 names or whatever like that, so it's like none of them are accurate, so that's why she's kind of like able to keep being possessed and not kind of sell herself up the road or whatever. But that's a great one though. She breaks down a lot of different names and stuff like that, and you're like, you're really name dropping. Somebody really read their shit for this movie.
Knows. But it's it was just so interesting to me that like because obviously Solomon is descended from the line of David, who is descended from Adam and Eve and blah blah blah, all the way through like Methuselah, Noah, all that shit.
That's another great name,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Methuselah Jones,
he was like, basically he gathered his court, right, and he basically was just like, look, listen, building my temple is gonna take a very long time. Trust and believe. If we do it ourselves, it's not going to be cute. It's not going to be cute. The look is not going to be cute. And he was told by God to be like, look, listen, if you're going to build a temple, build it right. I want it this way. And he was just like, look, God, it's
Go
not
on.
going to happen, right? So, being through the line of descendant of David, God was like, look, listen, I'm going to let you in on a secret.
The thing is, here's the thing.
Get their names. Check up on them.
I do love that. It's the Rumpelstiltskin of it all, though,
You know?
isn't it?
And so basically he was like, cute. So I'll craft a ring. Mm-hmm. Literally did that.
The ring to end the ring.
Pointed at the ground. It was like,
Oh, you faggot! You're supposed to try like this.
you'll faggot. Belial, come here, come up here. And Belial summons.
I
He
can't hear
comes
that name
up.
without thinking of Basket Case, though.
Right.
You know.
And Belial shows up, and he's quite literally, he's like,
Oh!
what the fuck is this? Like, who the fuck do you think you are? And Solomon literally says, I'm the descendant of motherfucking David, bitch. And he literally entraps him by saying, give me your name. He forces Belial to give him his name. And then Solomon takes control of him, and he writes his name in the lesser key of Solomon and says to Belial, go get your mates, go build the wall.
I'm really trying to
Go
find
do
that
it.
noise right now.
And it is just so fucking cool. I was so interested in it when I found it out, and I was like, oh my god. A literal king of Jerusalem was like, go build that bitch.
It looks like a squashed octopus.
Oh, let me hear the noise. Oh, we have to talk about Basket Case soon.
So,
But seriously, where is that fucking movie?
I
Where
wanna
is this
see
movie
that.
of this descendant of Adam and Eve sitting on a giant fucking throne, like literally enslaving demons to build this like ridiculous? Like, to me, the imagery comes out to something like this. Like, continue. I'll show you. I'll get it up.
So once, this is what, again, like, kind of gets me. I'm looking at it going like, holy shit. The Temple Mount was built on the backs of demons.
Yeah,
Like, holy shit.
that's cunt.
That's con. If you want capital C-U-N-T written across the Wailing Wall, you can.
Oh my God.
Because Solomon was like, I'm going to be that bitch. And Solomon said, I'm that bitch.
And God said, "You know what? You are."
So the other thing is, right, the mystery behind the Lesser Key of Solomon is the ring, right?
Yeah.
So the ring itself was meant to have been crafted by pure gold and all of that kind of thing.
They all say that.
They all say that. But the ring, right, once Solomon died, the ring disappeared, right? And in the Temple Mount, the temple, because it was obviously the Jewish temple at the time,
Of course.
the tabernacle ripped and broke in half when Solomon died. The ring disappeared. And only after Solomon died, and obviously like his son and successors and all of that took over, did the temple begin to fall apart. Was taken over by the Philistines, the Palestinians, the Romans, the Greeks. All of them continuously took over after that. So I keep thinking back to like, holy shit. So once Solomon died, like the demons were like, well, he doesn't have any power over us anymore. So we
What are
can
you
just
gonna do, bitch?
we can just fuck off, right? So we can do whatever we want, and yeah. So that was that. And I was gleefully delighted about that. You know?
Make it into a movie. Let me see it on screen.
Show me the fall from heaven.
Seriously.
Show me the war. Show me hell in a cinematic way. In a real cinematic way.
Like, Jesus to me is like
Give
the
me Lord of the
Wolverine,
Rings, but
though,
give me
where it's just
Dante's
like, look,
Inferno.
I'm okay with having X-Men stuff without Wolverine because he gets in the way. I want to see like
Really?
Christian, but yeah,
That's what you're bringing up?
yes, but I want to see like Christian shit without it being focused on Jesus. It's like Jesus
Yeah.
really in Christian mythology,
Jesus
although
is
he
only
is
in the
its
last few
namesake.
chapters of the book.
Exactly, really is this tiny little thing. It's like, you know, where is like, you know, where's the fall of fucking all this shit?
Where's
all of the imagery?
the guy wrestling with the angel? Where's Enoch and his
Yes.
journey going up the
Yeah.
golden ladder? Where's all of that? Where is the bitchy rapture god of the Old Testament? Why don't we see any of that? All we get is the
Kind of
10
a
plagues.
bitch. Yeah, for,
All we get is
Or,
the 10 plagues.
like, the
we
great
get so
flood.
much more. Where's Sodom and Gomorrah?
like, yeah, for real. I want to see that bitch turn into salt.
You know?
You know, ooh. Yeah, she's like, ooh.
And ooh.
Oh, and I'm sold.
Oh,
God damn it.
she is a pillar. But she looks so good as a pillar, though. That's actually a real pillar, though. Lot's wife. It's known as Lot's wife.
Oh.
Thing. If you look up,
is she kind of bad though?
No. It's purely just it's on a rocky outcrop.
Yeah.
And if you look it up, just call it's Lot's wife rock, and you find it. It's obviously not, but like it's creepy. It's eerie as fuck.
Damn.
Yes, that's it. Isn't that crazy?
That lady, she's a bit tall.
Well, she's a pillar. So
Pillar?
yeah.
I don't even know her.
Oh my god. So that was, I guess, a part one. You could say it's
Of
a quick
Christian
introduction
demonology.
of
Yeah.
demonology in the Christian sense.
Yeah.
There's still loads more to talk about on that, so we will come back to it.
Well, see, this is why I like the idea of this being kind of a trial run. This episode being kind of a trial run for what could be possibly a new series.
Yeah.
On just the large topic of the occult, because that could be.
It's a huge open source book.
Yeah.
You know,
Again,
a plethora of information.
I had a presentation planned for you all, but my phone decided to eat and chew up my notes and spit them out, which is stunning.
You should throw that bitch out the window.
But like hint, I think we were gonna go. You were gonna go more kind of esoteric, more kind of up in the sky shit, you know. And I like the idea of
real world.
Almost true crime versions of a cult. The idea of having like a Charles Manson or like
Sons
an
of
Anton
Sam,
LaVey, exactly,
all that kind of thing.
or like the Salem witch trials and like why that all went down and stuff. Again, you also don't blame those people back in the day for being like, these chicks are possessed, because it's like they were on fucking psychedelics, you know, and they didn't know. True. You know, it's 1692 or 16, yeah, I think so. There's chicks in your village who are going insane, who are all going crazy, and it's only these certain girls. It's like, I'm going to think they're possessed, and I believe the devil is real. If we can't even dance to music, and you're just writhing with nothing going on, let's dunk her in some water, bro. You know?
This is true.
That's what you get for eating bread.
Oh my god. You know? Just blame the bread, blame the carbs.
No, blaming the women. It's their fault.
So, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the SLAB.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So what do we have for next week?
This is going to be so exciting. So we're going into Christmas month. Well, let's just say holidays month. We want to keep it inclusive. So
we're talking about Christmas stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Happy holidays.
Merry happy holiday. We have 2008, The Children.
Yes.
It's going to be a good episode. It's nice and funny. We would know because we already recorded it.
Good. It's nice and light. Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall
I'm
here.
trying to think of other things that we could do. I mean, we can't do like I don't know, any like Hanukkah horror movies. Or anything. I don't know.
We can search it up. You don't know that. Yeah, you've got a point.
I'll give you a week and €100 if you can come up with a Hanukkah themed movie, a Hanukkah themed horror movie.
You've been listening to
The SLAB.
Just give me a second to say it.
Because you didn't.
And we have probed, we have postulated, and we have poked.
I know! We keep forgetting.
So weird.
We keep forgetting it, so we went back to the first episode and we heard poke, and it was like, that doesn't sound
Doesn't
okay.
sound right.
It's not very spooky. You know?
It sounds spooky. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram for some daily updated content.
And when somebody's a demon, always ask their name.
Always ask their name and be nice to them.
Ask for ID at the Circle of Salt.
Yes, exactly. Also, if and when someone asks me to go kill my son on a mountain and some angels showed up saying God wants you to do this, I'd be like, show me some ID.
Yeah, I'm going to need a little proof.
Yeah, a little proof here.
I never got a confirmation email or anything about that.
Yeah. Just give me some ID. Right.
I'm gonna call upstairs. Okay.
Let me just fax
my
fax
manager
real quick. All right.
Right.
Bye. 666.
Bye.